My name is Susanna Brown. I just turned 65, but I still feel young at heart, and I'm sure it's thanks to my granddaughter, Amelia. For 30 years, I worked as a reporter for the Sunset Valley Chronicle, a local newspaper. As an investigative journalist specializing in environmental issues and local development, I wrote countless articles. To be honest, some of my stories brought about significant changes in our town. For instance, 10 years ago, I exposed the fact that a local chemical plant was illegally dumping toxic substances into the river, which led to the factory's closure. At that time, I spent 3 months thoroughly investigating based on information from an anonymous whistleblower. It was like something out of a spy movie, sneaking into dangerous locations and meeting mysterious figures in the dead of night. I've always pursued the truth, guided by Gloria Steinem's words, "The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off." Since retiring 5 years ago, I've been living a peaceful life, but the sharp intuition and observational skills I honed as a reporter are still intact. I notice immediately if anything unusual happens in the neighborhood. My husband John often jokes, "You may have retired, but that reporter's instinct never left you." Recently, I've been focusing on volunteer work in the community. I particularly enjoy teaching children about the importance of environmental protection. Amelia joins me in these activities, and I'm constantly amazed by her keen eye for observation. I could go on and on about Amelia. She's only 6, but I feel like my talent as a reporter has been passed down to her. Well, I may not be chasing stories late into the night anymore, but I find fulfillment in my current life. I cherish time with my family while exploring ways to contribute to the community. Who could have imagined that such peaceful days would be shattered in this way? When it comes to family, the first person who comes to mind is my husband, John. At 67, he's been a skilled civil engineer working for a local construction company for over 40 years. His meticulous and honest character has been highly valued both at work and at home. Throughout our 42 years together, he's always been my strongest supporter. Our daughter, Taylor, is 35. She's a businesswoman working for a local real estate development company. Watching her struggle to balance work and childcare reminds me of when I was young. Taylor has become a wonderful mother. Taylor's husband, Harry, is a firefighter. He's brave and thoughtful, a great support for our family. He's currently away on special training, but he always puts family first. He's a wonderful person. And then there's our family's treasure, our granddaughter Amelia. She's incredibly smart and sensitive for a 6-year-old. She has a special ability, a photographic memory and an observational eye that rivals any adult's. Amelia's artistic talent is truly remarkable. Her drawings aren't just childish scribbles. She creates landscapes accurate down to the finest detail and abstract paintings that stir the emotions of those who see them. This talent greatly influences her daily life. For example, the other day at the supermarket, Amelia said, "That person looks sad," after observing a clerk's expression. We later found out that the clerk's beloved dog had just passed away. Amelia often notices things that even most adults would miss. Taylor and Harry are sending Amelia to art classes to nurture her talent. But at the same time, they're making sure she has a normal childhood. Playing in the park, having fun with friends, Amelia is growing up in a balanced environment. Among our family members, I've been concerned about John's behavior lately. There's an atmosphere around him as if he's hiding something. But I'll talk about that in more detail later. Our family often spends weekends together. We go on picnics or watch movies. It's hard to believe that such peaceful days would. It pains my heart just to think about it. Amelia and I have a special relationship. We share common traits, keen observation skills and intuition. The skills I honed as a reporter seem to come naturally to Amelia. We often play detective games. We walk around the neighborhood, trying to spot things that are different from usual. The other day, Amelia discovered a new bird's nest in our neighbor's yard. I hadn't even noticed it. Understanding and nurturing Amelia's talent has become my secret mission. When I look at her paintings, I sense something beyond mere lines and colors. Once, I was moved to tears by an abstract painting Amelia had created. It evoked deep emotions that words couldn't express. Amelia and I spend every Thursday together. It's the day when Taylor and Harry are busy with work. We cook, plant flowers in the garden, and sometimes visit art museums. Amelia teaches me many things. Her pure perspective often cuts through adults' complex thoughts. For instance, when we were discussing environmental issues, Amelia said, "Grandma, if everyone does a little bit, it becomes a big change, right?" I was struck by her simple yet profound insight. There's a deep bond of trust between us. Amelia sometimes confides in me about things she can't tell her parents. I make sure to keep her secrets and give appropriate advice. I never imagined that this special bond would play such a crucial role in the events of that day. It was because of our deep connection that I took Amelia's warning seriously and acted immediately. Looking back, my daily interactions with Amelia may have kept my reporter's instincts sharp. Who could have guessed that those instincts would end up saving our family from danger? John's behavior started to change about 3 months ago. As his wife of many years, I couldn't miss even the slightest change. First, I noticed an increase in secret phone calls late at night. When I woke up on the couch in the living room, I'd see John talking in a hushed voice in the kitchen. When he noticed me, he'd quickly hang up and make excuses like, "It's an urgent work call." But in the middle of the night, repeatedly. And for him, who's nearing retirement, his suspicious outings also became more frequent. He'd say he was meeting an old friend, but when he came back, he always seemed oddly fidgety. Once, I smelled cigarette smoke on his jacket. John had quit smoking 20 years ago. He started talking less with the family, and he seemed increasingly anxious. During dinner, even when Amelia was talking about her day at school, John seemed distracted. And he'd start to say something, then stop himself. It was as if he was carrying a secret. One day, while tidying up John's work desk, I found a note that said, "Sunset Paradise Project." Is this a new development plan for Sunset Valley? But why is John so nervous about it? My reporter's instinct was telling me that something big was lurking beneath the surface. But to doubt my husband whom I've trusted for so many years. It was a conflicting time for me. Meanwhile, Taylor also seemed to sense something off at her work. She confided in me, "Mom, some of the recent real estate deals seem strange. But when I try to talk to my boss about it, they won't listen." As I listened to Taylor's story, dots started connecting in my mind. John's changes, the Sunset Paradise plan, Taylor's concerns at work. These might all be related. If I were still a reporter, I would have started investigating immediately. But things are different now. I don't want to disrupt the family's peace. Still, I can't ignore this situation. Caught between doubting John and my love for my family, I decided to quietly continue observing. Little did I know that this decision would prove to be the right one on that fateful Thanksgiving Day. Amelia made a crucial observation 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, late at night. That day, I was staying over at Amelia's house, sleeping with her in the guest room upstairs. Just after midnight, Amelia suddenly sat up. "Grandma, I hear Grandpa's voice," she whispered. At first, I thought she might be dreaming, but then I heard low voices coming from downstairs. Amelia, ignoring my attempts to stop her, quietly opened the door and went down the stairs. I had no choice but to follow her. We could see John talking in hushed tones with an unfamiliar man in a corner of the living room. Amelia watched intently, holding her breath. Her eyes seemed to capture every moment like a camera lens. At that moment, the unfamiliar man rolled up his sleeve, revealing a vivid dragon tattoo. Amelia let out a small gasp. We couldn't hear the conversation clearly, but John's expression was tense, and he was shaking his head from time to time. The unfamiliar man seemed to be asserting something strongly, his attitude intimidating. Suddenly, the man stood up, and we hurried back upstairs. The next morning, Amelia was unusually quiet. During breakfast, she picked at her food, occasionally glancing at John. That afternoon, Amelia came up to me and whispered, "Grandma, last night Grandpa seemed troubled." I was once again amazed by her sharp observational skills. She had captured even the subtle changes in expression that adults might miss. But at the same time, I was worried about how this situation was affecting her. I could sense fear and anxiety towards John beginning to grow in Amelia. Since that day, Amelia occasionally started talking about the events of that night in fragments. It felt like we were slowly piecing together a puzzle. And little did we know that all those pieces would come together on the day of the Thanksgiving parade. On the morning of the Thanksgiving parade, I woke up earlier than usual. I got up with the sunrise and headed to the kitchen. I had promised Amelia we'd make our family's traditional pumpkin pie together today. Around 7 a.m., Amelia came running into the kitchen in her pajamas. "Grandma, let's start making the pie," she said, her eyes shining. Her smile eased some of the anxiety I'd been feeling lately. As we rolled out the pie crust, we reminisced about past Thanksgivings. "When I was little, after the parade, all the neighbors would get together to roast a big turkey," I said. Amelia's eyes widened. "Wow, really? Are we roasting a turkey this year too?" Just then, we heard John's footsteps coming down the stairs. Normally, he'd come to the kitchen to brew coffee, but today he went straight to the front door. "John, where are you going?" I called out. "I have some errands to run." "I'll be back in time for the parade," he replied curtly. Then he opened the door and left. Amelia suddenly stopped working on the pie. "Grandma," she called in a small voice. When I turned around, I could see her expression had clouded over. "What's wrong, Amelia?" I asked. "Grandpa is different," was all she said before falling silent again. Something nagged at me. John's unnatural early morning departure. Amelia's worried look. And the memory of that night's secret conversation. It all seemed to be pointing to something. But today was a special day. A day for the family to enjoy the parade together. "Come on, Amelia. Let's put this pie in the oven. We'll have a delicious pie waiting for us when we get back from the parade," I said cheerfully. Amelia hesitated for a moment, then nodded slightly. But the shadow of worry in her eyes didn't easily disappear. As we put the pie in the oven and changed our clothes, my mind was in a fog. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen at today's parade. When we arrived at the parade venue, it was already bustling with people. Colorful balloons, smiling families, and the excited voices of children. It was a scene that would normally make my heart leap, but today I couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. Holding Amelia's small hand tightly, we headed towards the viewing stands. Suddenly, Amelia stopped in her tracks. "Grandma, that man," she said, staring at a point in the crowd. I squinted to see what she was looking at, and I noticed a man looking around nervously. "What is it, Amelia?" I asked. She answered in a small voice, "That man was talking to Grandpa." At that moment, a chill ran down my spine. It was the man with the dragon tattoo from that night. I couldn't believe he was here. Amelia's expression hardened. Her eyes were filled with fear. "Grandma, we can't stay here. Let's run away," she said, gripping my hand tightly. Although confused, I had to follow Amelia's serious expression. Her intuition had always been accurate. Just as we were about to leave the crowd, my cell phone started ringing. Looking at the screen, I saw a flood of missed calls from Taylor. "What's going on?" At that moment, the large float leading the parade suddenly began to swerve as if it had lost control. People's screams echoed through the air. Amelia shouted, "Hurry," and pulled my hand. Amidst the panicking crowd, we desperately tried to escape. Various thoughts raced through my mind. John's unnatural behavior, Amelia's warning, and now this abnormal situation. Everything was starting to connect. As we were trying to escape from the crowd, I thought I saw John in the distance for a moment. He too seemed to be trying to flee in a panic. But right now, getting Amelia to safety was the priority. We ran into a nearby park after escaping from the parade venue. I caught my breath and checked our surroundings. In the distance, sirens were wailing. Amelia was clinging to me, shaking slightly. "It's okay, Amelia. We're safe thanks to you," I said. She finally looked up. There were tears in her eyes, but I could also sense a strong determination. My phone vibrated in my pocket again. It was a call from Taylor. I took a deep breath and answered. "Mom. Are you okay? What about Amelia?" Taylor's voice was urgent. "We're fine, both of us are safe. But something seems to have happened at the parade," I replied. "Mom, listen. Dad seems to be involved in something bad. The police are at our house right now." Taylor's words made my chest tighten. John. But there's no time for that now. Taylor, calm down. We're at Central Park now. Tell the police we'll wait here, I said. Okay. Be careful. We'll be there soon, she replied. After hanging up, Amelia looked up at me anxiously. Grandma, is Mom okay? Yes, she's fine. Let's wait here for now, I answered, while staying alert to our surroundings. There was still a possibility that the man with the dragon tattoo could be around. I felt I needed to organize the situation. John's suspicious behavior, the accident at the parade, and now the police investigation. Everything must be connected. I need to use all my experience as a reporter to overcome this crisis. I gripped Amelia's hand again. Amelia, can you tell me? Do you remember anything else about that scary man? Amelia thought for a moment, then pulled out a small sketchbook from her pocket. I drew this. There was an incredibly detailed sketch of the dragon tattoo. This could be crucial evidence. As we sat on a park bench, I organized the next steps in my head. The crisis management skills I had cultivated during my reporting days were coming in handy now. First, ensuring safety is the top priority. I need to protect Amelia while assessing the situation. I checked the park entrances and exits, memorizing escape routes. I also paid attention to the movements of people around us. Next, information gathering. I carefully took out my cell phone. Checking social media, I found it flooded with posts about the parade accident. Amidst the eyewitness accounts and speculations, one post caught my eye: possibility that the float's control system was tampered with. This might not have been an accident after all. Just then, Amelia suddenly stood up. Grandma, that man, she pointed. There was a man with a dragon tattoo. He seemed to have noticed us too and was trying to quickly leave the area. I made a split-second decision. Amelia, I need to follow that man. But it might be dangerous. Do you want to stay here? Or come with me? Amelia answered without hesitation. I'll come with you. Seeing her determined expression, I couldn't help but smile. All right. But make sure to stay behind me. As we cautiously began to follow the man, I could hear police sirens in the distance. The man with the dragon tattoo entered an old warehouse. Amelia, wait here. I'll go check it out, I started to say, when suddenly Amelia shuddered. Grandma, there's someone inside. Her intuition had never been wrong. As we carefully approached the warehouse, I heard a familiar voice from inside. Could it be John? Peeking through a gap in the door, I saw John and the man with the dragon tattoo arguing heatedly. There's no turning back now, John. The plan is already in motion. I want out. I never meant to involve my family. At that moment, John noticed us. Susanna. Amelia. Why are you here? The atmosphere changed instantly. The man with the dragon tattoo moved quickly, pressing something against John's neck. Don't move. You two, get in here. With trembling hands, we opened the door and entered. I stood in front of Amelia, trying to assess the situation. John, what on earth is going on? My voice was shaking. Susanna, I'm sorry. Regret filled John's eyes. The man with the dragon tattoo sneered. What a touching reunion. But it's too late. The Sunset Paradise plan is already underway. Just then, Amelia whispered, Grandma, the sketchbook. That's right, her sketch could be evidence. But how could we? At that moment, we heard sirens approaching from outside. The expression of the man with the dragon tattoo changed. Damn it! This is troublesome. Taking advantage of that moment of distraction, John lunged at the man. Susanna, Amelia, run. In the midst of the chaos, I grabbed Amelia's hand and headed for the door. But Amelia stopped. Are we leaving Grandpa behind? In that instant, something clicked inside me. Amelia, when you get outside, run straight to the police. Amelia nodded. I took a deep breath and turned around. Amelia, are you ready? Then, Amelia held up her sketchbook and shouted loudly towards the police, over here. The evidence is right here. Immediately, the door burst open and police officers rushed in. The man with the dragon tattoo was restrained. And John. John was also taken into custody. Amidst the confusion, I hugged Amelia tightly. Amelia, it's okay now. We're safe. But this isn't really the end of everything. This might be the beginning of our family's true test. In the waiting room at the police station, Amelia and I sat side by side. The tension and fatigue hit me all at once, and my sense of time became blurred. Suddenly, the door flew open and Taylor burst in. Mom! Amelia! She embraced us tearfully. I'm so glad you're safe. I was so worried. Behind Taylor was Harry, who had rushed back. Are you all right? Are you hurt? His voice mixed relief and concern. Amelia said in a small voice, Dad, welcome back, and Harry lifted her up. You did well, Amelia. While surrounded by the relief of our family reunion, I still couldn't shake my concern for John. Just then, a police officer approached. Mrs. Brown, could we talk for a moment? I took a deep breath, stood up, and told my family, I'll be right back, before following the officer. I was led to a separate room where I came face to face with John. He sat in a chair, looking exhausted. Susanna. John said in a strained voice. I'm truly sorry. I'll explain everything. As I listened to his story, the full picture became clear. John had been invited to participate in a large-scale real estate development called the Sunset Paradise Project. At first, he believed it was for the town's development, but gradually he realized there were illegal transactions and threats behind it. I wanted to get out. But they threatened to take my family hostage. John's voice trembled. I looked at him with mixed emotions, anger, disappointment, and pity. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to put you in danger. But in the end, I did anyway. At that moment, a police officer entered the room. Mr. Brown, thanks to your testimony, we've been able to arrest the key members of the organization. Thank you for your cooperation. John nodded slightly. I'll face the consequences of my actions. I exhaled deeply. The road ahead would certainly not be smooth. When I left the room, Taylor, Harry, and Amelia were waiting. As Amelia reached out her small hand to me, I found myself tearing up. "Let's go home," I said, joining the family circle. "This is the real beginning. The trial may be over, but our journey has just begun." For several weeks after returning home, we spent quiet days. Though on the surface it seemed we had returned to normalcy, deep down, everyone was struggling with inner conflicts. One evening, as the whole family gathered in the living room, Taylor broke the heavy silence. "Mom, what do you think we should do about Dad?" I exhaled deeply before answering. "There's no easy answer. But we're family. We have to get through this together." Harry quietly added, "That's right. At first, I was just angry. But we have to acknowledge that your father ultimately did the right thing." Amelia had been silently listening to our conversation, but suddenly she got up and brought her sketchbook. In it was a drawing of our entire family, smiling and holding hands. "Let's all do our best," Amelia said in a small voice, filling the room with a warm atmosphere. At that moment, I truly felt the strength of our family bond. Because we overcame this trial, we've become stronger. I stood up and looked around at my family. "Listen, everyone. From now on, let's talk honestly and openly. We don't need secrets. And about John, he needs our support too." Taylor nodded tearfully. Harry strongly showed his agreement, and Amelia beamed with a bright smile. From that day on, the atmosphere in our family gradually changed. On weekends, we'd have picnics in the park or enjoy board games at night. Most importantly, we started to honestly share our feelings with each other. We also began visiting John. At first, there was an awkward air, but with each visit, the warm atmosphere of the past slowly returned. Amelia continued to capture our family's changes in her drawings with her keen observational skills. Looking at her pictures, we could clearly see how much we had grown. Through this experience, I made a new resolution. There must be something I can do for our community. Using my experience as a reporter and what I learned from this incident. By reaffirming our family bonds and embracing the changes in our hearts, we were about to begin a new chapter. The road ahead is still long, but I was confident that together, we could overcome anything. On Thanksgiving morning, a year after the incident, our family decided to start a new tradition. Warm morning sunlight streamed into the living room, and the scent of pumpkin pie wafted from the kitchen. Amelia was by the window, as usual, sketching something in her notebook. "Is everyone ready?" I called out, and Taylor and Harry appeared with bags in hand. Our destination today was a senior care facility on the outskirts of town. As part of John's rehabilitation program, he's been volunteering there. Before getting into the car, Amelia showed us the picture she had been drawing. It depicted our family spending time with the elderly at the care facility, smiling together. In the center was John. When we arrived at the facility, John was waiting for us at the entrance. His expression no longer held the color of past regrets, but had returned to a gentle smile. "You all came," John's voice was filled with gratitude. Amelia ran up and hugged John. "Grandpa, we all came together." We entered the facility and began interacting with the seniors. Taylor and Harry pushed wheelchairs, while Amelia showed her drawings and chatted with the residents. John stood next to me and said in a low voice, "Susanna, thank you. Because of you all, I was able to get back on my feet." I gently squeezed his hand in return. "Of course. We're family." Just then, Amelia called out loudly, "Everyone, let's take a picture." We gathered together and smiled at the camera. As the shutter clicked, I whispered in my heart, "Every family has a story. Welcome to ours." After taking the photo, Amelia said, "Now I'll draw a picture," and immediately opened her sketchbook. The seniors gathered around her, full of interest. Taylor put her hand on my shoulder. "Mom, thank you so much for guiding our family." Harry nodded and added, "That's right. We've learned so much this past year." I hugged them both. "You two have done well too." John brought us warm coffee. "Come on, let's make a toast to new beginnings." We clinked our cups together with smiles. Outside the window, the autumn leaves swayed in the wind, as if heralding the start of a new season. At this moment, I felt truly happy. The bond of our family, strengthened after overcoming trials. And each of our lives, having found a new purpose. Challenges may still come our way. But now, I'm certain that we